Drum rolls, and we are live. Hello, good people of the internet. You are tuned into the Unlearning Playground. I am your host, Chetan Narang. Welcome to another live session with me. As I promised last month and the month before that, I want to make a habit of going live on YouTube and talking about whatever is on my mind at least once a month. So here I am turning up again on the first Saturday of the month, talking about my learnings, unlearnings, and recommendations from February 2025. Now, it's been a beautiful month for me. It's been a challenging month as well. But there are a lot of things that I actually wanted to talk about today. I have a bunch of things here. I have four broad topics that I want to talk about. But before we do that, if you're new to this channel and you've somehow landed here, make sure you subscribe to the channel because this is literally a better YouTube feed knocking you right at your doorstep. So, with that in mind, let's get started. I wanted to start today with an invitation because an upgrade that landed to me recently was that if the brand of leadership that you're following does not involve invitations, it's not real leadership. And that really struck a chord with me. So I wanted to start with an invitation, and that invitation actually landed with me just last night. I was with a friend of mine. We were having a very honest and candid conversation about a lot of different things. In fact, not we were having a lot of discussions around the topics that I'm going to talk about today in my live stream, especially the third topic, that's the paradigm shifts. Now, my friend was actually telling me that he was not wrong in saying that very few people are actually talking about this. Very few people are even interested in hearing about this or talking about this. Very few people think like this. And I think he was kind of pointing towards the fact that it's not going to resonate with a lot of people. And the answer that came up in my consciousness was, dude, that's exactly why I need to talk about it. Because when, let's say, in a happy scenario, 5 years from now, a lot of people are talking about what I'm going to talk about in today's video, I would not need to talk about it with a necessity, right? And therefore, I think that is the invitation here. What I'm going to talk about in today's video, what you're going to see going forward on the Unlearning Playground, on this YouTube channel, if it's not called the Unlearning Playground going forward, you will see things that are coming out of necessity. You will see things that help you make more sense of what is happening in the present world. And we talk about going towards a better way instead of just rambling on in the worst ways in which we're rambling on throughout our society right now. So, with that in mind, with that invitation in mind, again, if you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. And let's get started with some learnings from February 2025. And yes, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about is regular breaks. Now, this is a learning that actually hit me almost throughout the month, but especially towards the end phase of the previous month, is the importance of taking regular breaks. Now, the way I wanted to talk about it was we all go through different cycles in our lives, and we all go through some very small cycles and some very big cycles, and some even bigger cycles which we're not really aware of, honestly. So the small cycles could be that you're in the zone and you're working hard on a problem. So you've spent a couple of hours, let's say, just knocking very hardly at that problem, but it's just not coming through. You need to realize that you need to take a break. So that's almost like a very small cycle that you're a part of, and it's reached a point of diminishing returns that happens during meetings, that happens during very small work that you're also doing, but you have been doing it for some time. Taking a break almost always helps in that case. And that's true. Everyone knows that. It's almost like if you're trying to solve a crossword puzzle and the word, it just, the one word that is remaining is not, it's just not landing. If you take a break and come back, look at it fresh, the word just appears. From where it appears, no one knows. But it's just that these kinds of breaks just help us reorganize and rejuvenate in some sense. Now, this is a kind of a break that we should take regularly, and I think all of us understand that because it's the kind of lethargy, it's the kind of tiredness that we become aware of very soon. But if what we do not usually become aware of is that we also are a part of bigger cycles. um, what I mean is, this is something I think I talked about in my previous live session as well. Women have a biological cycle wherein at certain days of the month, they are told by their bodies that this is the period where they have to now relax. They cannot be doing as much pushing and grinding as they were doing probably the previous 2 3 weeks. Men do not have such a biological cycle, but we can also not always keep grinding at it. We also always will, provided that you're taking care of your health, provided that you're ticking all the regular boxes of, let's say, eating well, sleeping well, drinking enough water, doing regular exercise, etc. If you're taking all of those boxes, there will come points in your lives when you feel low, and they will come cyclically. So for me, what happened was, just towards the end of the month, so perhaps 3-4 days before the shooting of this video, I was feeling low. And I was feeling low in the sense that the ideas just weren't landing. I mean, I'm someone who tries to write something every single day, and I just could not get myself to write anything at all. I mean, like they say, the plane just wasn't landing. And there was no obvious reason why it wasn't. I mean, it's not like there's a dearth of ideas up here, or it's not like there's a dearth of ideas here. I have a lot of ideas that I wanted to write about, but it just wasn't happening. I had to force myself to do something that I'm able to do in a flow. And that was my cue. Now, this is something again that I keep stressing, because I had forgotten myself that I need to work in cycles. I cannot just always keep grinding at it, because you are a human being, you're not a machine. You need to rejuvenate. So there are these smaller cycles where, let's say, even during the day, you need to keep rejuvenating. Of course, during the night, you rejuvenate because you sleep. I hope so. And then there are these bigger cycles which could last a month for you, which could last a few weeks for you, which could last a few months for you, which lasts perhaps a few series of months for all of us collectively, etc. But all of these cycles also happen wherein you have to realize that everything in our lives happen in the form of sine waves. So there are ups and then there are downs. And when there are downs, we have to respect our downs and take regular breaks. And that invites me to move on to the second topic, which is regular celebrations. Now, regular celebrations, this is also something that hit me really hard during the early part of this month, which was, how often do we not celebrate our victories? When we have big victories, like for example, big victories in the sense that you, let's say, you finally got the promotion that you were after, or let's say you finally entered into the college that you were after, or you scored very well in your exams, etc., etc. There could be so many different victories that we have, which are victories that we were really chasing, and then you land them and you celebrate them. We do that, almost all of us do that. I hope you do. I hope you celebrate your big victories. But there are these little victories that we win sometimes in our lives, which are, on the face of them, they're very small victories, but what we miss out on is an opportunity to actually celebrate them. Now, where this hit me was, I was with my wife and we were in the middle of discussing something, and the situation was sort of heating up. And I'm going to sound like an arrogant prick, maybe, but I handled it like a champ. And it just, I had to celebrate it. I mean, I told my wife that I'm just feeling so good right now. Not not at that moment, of course. I told her a few hours after that entire conversation that I think I handled that like a champ. And I think I need to respect myself for that. I'm not looking for validation even from you. I know I did well in that conversation. And this is it, there are these small moments in our lives where, if in a conversation you handled it like a champ, or if you were able to avoid the heated argument that it could have become, or if you were able to actually impose a calming effect on an already heated situation, just things of this sort. If you are able to do that, make sure you celebrate them. Make sure, I mean, I don't mean celebrate in the sense that go to the nearest pub and get a drink. If that's your thing, I would want you to reevaluate things. But anyway, what I mean is, perhaps just sit with it. Just sit with the feeling of accomplishing something, the feeling of having grown out of your previous habits, because it's necessary. And a lot of times we are actually waiting for other people to validate us for having grown. But what I realized on that day was, I can do that for myself too. I don't need anyone else to validate that I have grown in this regard. And at least at in that particular conversation, I acted like a grown up. Now, that does not mean that in every single conversation I had throughout my last month, I acted like a champ. My wife will tell you that I did not. But wherever I did, I wanted to praise myself. I wanted to feel as if there was something there. I wanted to celebrate that. And it also goes to say, right? I mean, when you do not act like a grown up, when you have not really won something, we are almost always the first ones to act very hard on ourselves. I mean, of course, you could be around people who are hard on you for not really holding up to your own standards. If that is the thing, of course, we'll need to have a whole different conversation. But we ourselves quite often can be quite hard on ourselves for not having acted the way we would have wanted to act in a particular situation. And that's fine, you know. I do not want that voice in your head to actually die off. It should not lead you towards becoming ashamed of yourself, but that self correcting voice in your head should actually be there. You know, it serves a purpose. But then the positive side of that voice in your head should also exist, wherein if you actually handled a situation like a champ, like I did, I hope you appreciate yourself. I hope you celebrate that little victory. That ends my second thing that I wanted to talk about. And that brings me to the third learning that I wanted to share today. And this is the biggest one. This is actually the one that I talked about very beginning of this live stream, wherein I wanted to talk about a paradigm shift. And this is the key invitation here. Now, this is very hard to talk about, honestly. But what I've been feeling for quite some time now is that we human beings are outgrowing the paradigms that we're living in. We are outgrowing the paradigms of whatever it is that we're doing in our lives. I mean, not whatever it is, but a lot of aspects of whatever we are doing in our lives. We have overdone a lot of things. We have caused a lot of overwhelm in a lot of things. And we have almost sucked out the essence, the human essence, out of so many avenues of our lives that it just looks it just looks like there is despair all over the place. There is despair and meaninglessness all over the place. I don't mean to sound as if someone who's too negative, honestly, but I'm just being honest. I mean, when I look at uh, things like politics, when I look at things like religion, when I look like things like business, when I look like things like movies, TV shows, streaming services, dating, there are so many aspects of our lives which have almost become inhuman almost. And why I keep saying that is because there is so much overwhelm to be had from all of these things individually. There is so much meaninglessness to be had from all of these things. I mean, consider a very small thing like cricket. I think we've overdone even cricket now. And to the extent that so many friends that I've had over the years who used to love watching cricket, they still love watching cricket, but there's a hint of disappointment just almost always associated even with a sport. And it's the same way with the way we look at politics. It's almost become a lost cause now. Like, even people who are very politically driven, who I know personally, even they feel as if it's just become a lost cause. I mean, just today morning, a friend of mine shared a video with me where Donald Trump and JD Vance and the Ukrainian president Zelensky, they were in a conversation, and it just looked like a fucking reality show, man. I mean, it just, I'm sorry to have cursed here, but it just looked like I was watching, honestly, I was watching a reality show. That's not what politics is supposed to be about. It should not have been about that, but we have reached that stage. And I think that's the way with so many other things. Consider dating, for example. I think we have exhausted the paradigm of online dating. It's become, if you have single friends right now who are interested in serious relationships, they will tell you how desperate it can sound. They'll tell you how desperate it can seem to be on these online dating platforms. And it's the same way with social media. It feels like such a lost cause now. It's the same way with podcasts. I mean, podcasts are not bad, but there is just so much overwhelm of podcasts right now. It's the same way with YouTube channels, man. I mean, I know I'm operating a YouTube channel here right now, so it might sound a bit paradoxical, but there's just so many YouTube channels now, and everyone posing as an expert on every single topic, everyone giving out so many varied, very strongly minded opinions on every single topic. You're bound to get overwhelmed. You're bound to feel that way. If you want to learn more about anything, you're bound to, if you reach the internet, you're bound to get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of content that you will search for, and then what the recommendation systems will directly throw at you. And it just feels as if we have, I mean, just combine all of these things together and take a zoomed out view. I think the paradigms in which we human beings are living right now, it just seems as if we have outgrown these paradigms because there is so much overwhelm, because there's so much meaninglessness, because there is so much despair, because there's so much incoherence. I mean, oh my god, the incoherence in every single phase, in every single topic that you can find, there is just so much incoherent. Even on topics where you would expect there to be objective truths, like for example health and fitness, there is just so much incoherence across the domain. It's just crazy. And I feel, now I've been on and on about what the problem is, but what is the solution? I feel there is no easy solution except for just maybe understanding that we need a paradigm shift now. We really need to outgrow this entire paradigm of living in this manner. In this manner, as in, we have come up with such amazing technology. For example, social media, it's an amazing technology, but we have almost stretched its limits, and now what it's sucking out of us is our own humanity. Mm, and that's it. It's like that example of the Plato's cave. I do not know if you guys understand the Plato's cave. I'll try to summarize it very briefly. The experiment of the Plato's cave very initially was that it's, consider a bunch of prisoners chained with, they're facing the back wall of a cave, and there's a fire behind them which they cannot see, and there are some guards who are randomly dancing in front of the fire and casting shadows on the back wall of the cave that they are watching, that the prisoners are watching, and the prisoners are merely just looking at those shapes and coming up with different versions of reality, quote unquote reality, because this is what they see. Now, the original experiment was actually meant to tell us that this is how we actually look at lives. This is how we interpret reality. We interpret reality via our own biases, via our own preconceived notions. And therefore, to come out of this interpreted reality into an objective reality, let's say, you have to walk out of the cave. Now, this is something that Rocco described to me in our consciousness series, where he told me that this is actually true. This is very true. But consider the fact that you walked out of the cave, but your biases never really leave you. It's almost as if it's caves all the way up. So you are always looking at life from a new paradigm. And therefore, when you have exhausted the limits of a particular paradigm, it's time to actually walk into a new paradigm, individually, of course, firstly, but then also collectively. And I think that collectively happens after the individuals start to move towards a better paradigm, a better way. And that is, I think, what is the real invitation here. This is the real invitation that Rocco is actually extending out, not just to me. I mean, of course, I'm directly connected with him now, and I feel lucky enough to be directly connected with him. And that's the invitation that almost a big brother will hand out to you, that let's walk out of this whole mess together and create a better way. But that's the invitation here as well. Let's walk out of this paradigm because we have exhausted the limits of this paradigm. Now, what will the better way look like? It's anybody's guess. We can only try. But I know there will be some human aspects to the better way which are absolutely missing in the way we are cooperating as a collective species right now. There has to be more self awareness, there has to be more compassion, there has to be more coherence with other people around you. There has to be more coherence with life with a capital L. We cannot keep acting like a cancer on life and hope to keep sustaining, because it's almost like if you keep doing that, what loses out is not just life with a capital L. I mean, if you are into non duality or Advait Vedant at all, I don't have to explain to you directly that, or even if you're into evolution, you would know, he- if not homo sapiens, life will evolve something else. So it will be just another turn of the clock, and there will be another run of this entire experiment, and there will be someone else or something else or some other beings who would be carrying on the experiment. But we are here right now. We are here right now. Life has evolved up to this stage. Can we actually participate in life with a capital L without interfering, without causing our own annihilation? And if you don't think that we're causing our own annihilation, or if we are at least close to it, just look at the different ways in which human beings are interacting right now, globally and even individually. We are living in such such shells, not in any small measure because of these smartphones that we have, but then also wherever human beings are cooperating, it's almost as if we have almost only selfish motives in our minds, and we cannot think about things that are bigger than us, than our petty little selfish motives. And that cannot be the better way of going about life. And therefore, that is the invitation. Let's walk towards a better way together. Now, what that would look like for what me and Rocco are looking at right now, we have decided that there there needs to be a community. It cannot be something that we just come up with. And I mean, of course, we have a lot of ideas about the different videos and the articles and the books that Rocco wants to write and what we want to share together. So we'll keep doing that, but we want it to be community driven, and therefore we'll be launching a community very soon, where what we want is active healthy engagement from actual people who can resonate with messages such as this. I don't know if I did a very good job of explaining it in today's live stream. I hope I did. But there will be a lot of videos coming out on this channel where you will actually get a more coherent, rehearsed way in which I would be talking about, or Rocco would be talking about similar messages. In fact, we have just recorded a video together to myself and Rocco, and I hope that that is the next video you see come out on this channel. So, what we want is an active, engaged community. In fact, let me just see if there are more people. Oh, yes. I mean, I would have wanted more people here, but this is good. Hope you are doing good. Hope you reach far, though reach is a part of this vicious cycle. I know it is. But again, that's exactly what I talk about. I would want this message to have more reach. And part of me also feels irritated because there is such an empowering technology in my hand right now. I could be able to reach so many people with messages such as this. But then YouTube, Instagram, all of our social media is just occupied by sheer bullshit, for lack of a better word. It's occupied by sheer garbage that not conspiracy theorists are generating. We enable that garbage. We create such content, and then we also enable other people who are creating such content to keep churning out more and more of such videos. And therefore, I think for this content to actually reach its intended audience, which is a large audience, which should be a large audience, I do not know what it will take. And therefore, one of the things that Rocco and I have decided is that we want there to be an active community engagement. We do not want to just build a YouTube channel for the heck of it, so that we can keep uploading more videos there. I think that's also another paradigm that we've outgrown already. So I think our community will reside on Facebook. As bullshit as that platform is to me, as useless as that platform is to me, it still has a lot of utility in that you can actually run a community there, I guess. We don't think we can do that on YouTube. I mean, how many comments would I want to respond to? And how many comments can we have a healthy discussion in? The same applies to Instagram. So for now, we are considering Facebook. In fact, if any of you have a better suggestion, do let us know. But if not, the pinned comment of this video will always have the link wherever our community is residing right now. And what we want from you is to be a part of that community. What we want from you is to actively engage in that community, not only passively, but actively. So let us know what you think we should talk about. Let us know what course you want there to be. Let us know what you want to be initiated towards. And if we can enable it, we will try our level best to actually enable it. If it is via collaborating with other people who turn up from our own community, nothing like it. If that requires us to become more proficient in something, I mean, we would definitely want to do that. So that's about it. You will see this definitely landing in the pinned comment of this video. Harshit says hi. Hello, Harshit. And oh, so this should be the third point. And the fourth learning that I wanted to share is actually not really a learning, it's a recommendation. Just last night, me and my wife finished watching The Good Place. And I think that's a good TV show. I mean, I think they put in a lot of thought into what a good place would look like. In fact, it's quite resonant with what I'm talking about here. So the premise of the show is that there is such a thing as a good place or a bad place when you die, but then it takes a whole different turn. I'm not going to put out the entire story here, but I think what I took from that show really was that it is a matter of choice to make the place where you are a good place, a better place. And I think it suited me really well that just before coming live here on YouTube, I had just finished that show. So I would definitely recommend you to go ahead and watch that show. If you are a person who watches TV shows, The Good Place is a good recommendation from my side. And that's about it. I think I do not know how long this was, but I hope this was worth it. I There were not too many participants live here. I wish there were, but let's keep doing this and let's see more people turn up probably from the next month onwards. And I also hope that I will be live first Saturday every month. So I hope if I'm able to do that, I'll be publishing a schedule for these live streams on my YouTube channel, the community forum, so that people can actually tune in without actually being surprised from the notification. So that's about it. If you were new on this channel, if you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video. And of course, I cannot stress on this enough, this is not just another YouTube channel. This is literally a member of your own team inviting you towards a higher consciousness, towards a better paradigm for all of us to live in, not just for ourselves, but also for our family, for the people that we care about, for the animals that we care about, for all the different problems that we care about. Let's step into better paradigms. Let's step into a higher consciousness so that we can actually solve problems rather than be a part of the problem. So that's it, you good people of the internet. I'll see you soon again. Until next time, peace out.